On this episode of Travelogue, we reach the last leg of our incredible journey. Join us as we enter Yunnan and head for the magnificent Meili Snow Mountains. We'll get our heads around the impressive first bend of the Jinsha River, pay a visit to one of the lowest glaciers in China, and enter timeless Yubong Village. All this on the final episode of this series. Hi, I'm Taran and welcome to Travelogue. We've traversed freezing mountain ranges, crossed alpine meadows and visited unspoilt Tibetan villages. And now that we're here in Yunnan, our final destination lies at the Meili mountain range, one of the 8 sacred mountains in Buddhism and also the site of one of the lowest glaciers in China. Let's get started. From Sichuan, we enter Yunnan's Shangri County via National Highway 214. Also known as Zhongdian, Shangri County lies in the Diqing Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture and is a tourist hotspot known throughout the world. From its welcoming climate to its lush mountain plateaus, resplendent lamasseries and colourful ethnic minorities, Yunnan offers travellers an unforgettable experience at each step of their journey. As we drive along the Jinsha River, we pass by a group of pilgrims prostrating on the road. While it'll take us just a couple of days, it can take up to 2 years for these devout Tibetan Buddhists to reach Lhasa. They consider this an act of reverence and a way to purify themselves of their worldly desires. For them, their own body is their vehicle. Leaving the pilgrims behind, we continue on down the road. And not long after, we arrive at a striking landmark. What an absolutely spectacular view! This down there, that is the first bend in the Jinsha River as it makes its way towards the Meili mountain range. And the wind's really strong, so I'm going to have to try my best to stay on this mountain. The Jinsha River is one of the most important rivers in China and later goes on to form the mighty Yangtze. Here, its tumultuous waters make a dramatic U-turn and separates Yunnan from Sichuan. As tough as it may seem, people live on both sides of the river. And if you suddenly see a sack flying from one shore to the other, don't be alarmed. The locals here have developed an ingenious way of transporting supplies and even people across the river. If you're brave, curious, or just want to see your life flash before your eyes, why not give it a try as well? Unfortunately, the way by land isn't much better either. The road we're on is prone to landslides and is constantly under repair, and some parts of it haven't even been finished yet. As you can see, this road, if you can call it that, is filled with mud, and it's not even a proper road, and we've come into a bit of trouble here. We've been trying to push the car back, but to no avail, and we're now trying to jack it up and see if we can get this going again. When you're planning your trip, don't forget to factor in some additional time for what might happen on the road. When you're travelling this far out, road conditions can get very bad, so it is quite difficult to know what might happen. After 30 minutes of toing and froing, we finally managed to get off that godforsaken rock. And I've been told that that stretch of the road was the worst. So hopefully it's going to be clear sailing for the rest of the road. We're heading to Cizhong, an isolated Tibetan hamlet in the mountains. However, with this kind of traffic jam, we have no idea when we might arrive. So it's now 10:30. And we left for Cizhong around 3.5 hours ago. This entire road, the entire stretch, has been under construction, and now there's been a landslide in front of us and there's this whole queue of cars waiting for it to be cleared. We've been told it's going to take 1 to 2 hours, and by the time we get there it's going to be past midnight. This time, however, It wasn't a matter of waiting. A fresh landslide had completely closed off the way to Cizhong. I still remember seeing stones falling from the cliff above that, at any moment, could have brought a bigger rock down and knocked us into the Jinsha River below. With nowhere to stay and the road to Zhongdian shut as well, we had no choice but to drive on through the night, heading back the way we came via Baima Mountain. There were several places we wanted to see on our journey, but were unable to due to bad road conditions. It really is a shame because we wanted to visit Zhongdian, which is the capital city of the Diqing Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture, and unfortunately for us, the roads were closed. If you do manage to go, I highly suggest you visit the Songzangling Lamasery, which is also known as the Small Patala Palace and is one of the largest lamaseries in Yunnan. Another place we really wanted to see was Cizhong. We were only 3 kilometers away from town when we happened across the site of a recent landslide which forced us to turn back. And it really is a shame because in Cizhong you can see this kind of beautiful harmony between Tibetan and Western culture. You can see a 100-year-old Catholic church standing side by side with piles of mani stones in this quaint little Tibetan village at the foot of the Meili mountain range. Unfortunately for us, it's very difficult to plan for what might happen on the road, and we haven't the time to wait for road conditions to clear. So we're going to head towards our final destination, which lies at the Meili mountain range. Let's get back on the road. We're heading to the town of Deqin, which borders the Tibet Autonomous Region to the north and Burma to the west. After last night's ordeal, we let out a much needed sigh of relief when we finally see Chortens by the roadside, signalling our impending arrival. Although Deqin lies in Yunnan, it's decidedly Tibetan and lies at over 3,500 meters above sea level. Deqin can be reached via daily buses from Zhongdian and also acts as a departure point for buses to Lhasa. Morning guys, morning! We came here late last night at around 10 PM after a very bumpy road, and we came straight to this hostel where the beds are around 30 RMB or so, but specifically to see this gorgeous sight in front of us. That is the Meili mountain range, and it's around 7:15 now, and we're just waiting for the first rays of golden sunshine to hit across this entire snowy range. It's going to be spectacular. Looking on as the peaks are slowly bathed in light, you feel as if you're witnessing something pure, something incredibly serene. And a sense of calmness gently washes over you and cleanses your mind. As you can see, we do have quite a spectacular view. The sun finally came out for us at around 7:40, and when you do come here, I would quite suggest you to stay at Feilai Si, which has quite a lot of hotels and hostels, but mind you, it is 3,900 meters above sea level, and as you can see, you've actually got over there, under the sun, the Mingyong Glacier, and this winding road through the valley, through the mountain, goes all the way to Yubeng, which we will head to next. A short ride from Deqin, there are plenty of guest houses in Feilai Si with great views of the range, but mine directly faced the 6,740 meter high Kawakapo, Meili's highest peak. The Meili Mountains are the only thing separating Yunnan from Tibet and are one of the most important mountains in Tibetan Buddhism. Okay, so this is where we are. Let me find us. We're here, Feilai Si, and we're going to make our way up through this route, all the way up to Xidang village, the village you saw at the bottom of the mountains, and then we're going to take, donkeys, mules or horses up all the way to Upper Yubeng village, and Lower Yubeng village is here as well. And right at the top, are mountains and waterfalls, the scenery that we're going to try and reach. It's around a 30-minute drive from Feilaisi to the entrance of the Meili mountain range, so it might be worth flagging down a taxi to take you there. Do remember to negotiate the price though. So we've arrived at the Meili mountain range, and I've got the Langtang River flowing beneath me, which later becomes the Mekong, and we've arrived at a crossroads. If you can see up there, to the right of us, we've got the Mingyong Glacier, and then to the left, you've got the Yubeng village, which lies at the foot of the mountain range, which I highly suggest you visit as well. We're going to head to the Mingyong Glacier first, as it's just a 20-minute drive down the road. If you can see over there at the tip of that snowy mountain, that's where the Mingyong Glacier is, and you'll need roughly a day's worth of time to fully explore it. Fed by the mountains above, the Mingyong Glacier is one of the lowest permanent glaciers in China, and unfortunately, one of the fastest receding. Although you can't set foot on it, it is possible to hike up to it. Alternatively, you can go up by mule, but it will set you back around 150 RMB. It's well worth visiting the Lotus Temple towards the end of the trail, as it offers a fantastic view of the ice sheet. Moving on, it's now time for something slightly less cold.
只能到这里了，汽车，前面你们就靠骑马和步行上去了。
好，师傅走了。哎，各位 ，Our cars can only park here. We have to make up the rest of the way to Yubeng by horse and by mule, and we're going to go and find our horses. Let's go. 我们的马在哪儿呢？
在这儿是吧？来，哪个是我们的？
Okay, so these two mules appear to be ours. I think they're having a bit of a rest because it's going to be about a 3-hour ride, 2-hour ride up and then a 1-hour walk as well. So it's going to be very grueling. But the weather is beautiful and I can't wait. And we're off! Yubeng is a tiny and isolated Tibetan village at the foot of the Meili Mountains, and in order to reach it, you must first scale over another mountain. I'd suggest bringing a sleeping